all people, but he did a lot. How many of you received some of the fruit of his work? Again, it's a bit of a strange gathering here because with Roger, we know that this church would be packed if everyone who wanted to be here could be here today.
That's right.
But it's not important for Roger that they are all here. It's important for us. Because with Roger, it was more important that he was with people while he was here on earth.
That's right.
I remember another occasion. It didn't seem that long ago. I think it was his 80th birthday, right? Is that 6 years ago already? That's the way Roger loved to gather, to be with people. And what a wonderful celebration. I said, Vernon, he said, oh, you should come over. We're celebrating Roger's birthday. And I pulled into the farm, and I was like, oh my goodness, the whole world's here. Of course, just with the family, that's a lot of people. It's a lot more than family. I have no idea how many people were there, but what a wonderful celebration. And that's, in a sense, the vision we celebrate here today. Indeed, that we are united. That first reading, it spoke of, on that mountain, the Lord will destroy the veil that separates all people. And as we're experiencing now that veil of sickness that's separating us from one another, all this social distancing, but you as a family also feel that veil of death, which feels like such a separation. But yet in faith, we believe that indeed the Lord has destroyed that veil. That we, as we heard in that second reading, Paul saying that those who believe in Christ, he has indeed conquered death and destroyed that division for us, so that those who live for the Lord also die for the Lord and live with him forever. And so we gather here today in that faith, the faith of the one in whom Roger had such a strong faith in. Death is never an easy thing. And I don't know if there's such a thing as a good death, because death always includes suffering. Some of you witnessed that there was suffering, but if anybody had a good death, I think it was Roger. I was fortunate, Father Francis, to be called over to the farm not so long ago. And what a beautiful scene. As his granddaughters gathered around him, as his family gathered around him, as he was up there to the end, giving hope, giving encouragement, giving thanks, as well as receiving it. To be able to move on from this life where he had lived so much of his life, the farm he loved and the land he loved. Indeed, a very blessed man. To be surrounded by those who loved him, to be, in a sense, loved into the next life. And that's what we all hope for. That indeed, as we continue this journey of life, we know love through those around us, and most of all, that love of God which is everlasting. We also look to the life of Roger at this time, because I think in each and every person, especially if they live life well, show us some of that incredible love of God. None of us are perfect. Not even good old Roger. He'd be probably the first to admit it. But in many ways, he showed that love and that goodness. It's a little story I think Roger might enjoy. There was a man out walking one day, enjoying nature. I think Roger liked to walk. Read something about trips to the bridge and back. No wonder he kept so fit. But out for a walk one day and happened to buy a nice little scene there. There was a nice garden patch near a grove. And this was filled with pumpkins and watermelon and other vines. And so this man decided to take a little rest. And as he sat next to an oak, leaned up against an oak tree, began to contemplate kind of wonders of nature and the strangeness of nature, especially as he contemplated and looked at those large watermelons on these fragile little vines, and looked up and saw these little acorns on this big, strong oak tree, and thought, I think God got it kind of wrong. Why are these little acorns on this big, strong oak and these large watermelons on these fragile vines? And after a while, they dozed off until suddenly he was woken as an acorn fell and hit him right on the nose. And of course, he laughed to himself, saying, maybe God has it right after all. Thankful that it wasn't a watermelon. When I think of people like Roger, they are indeed the salt of the earth. They are so important to our world and to our communities and to our families. Oftentimes we talk about, people think, oh, our priest is so important. Yeah, we play our role, but we rely on people like Roger, who are pillars of families, who are pillars of their neighborhood, who are pillars of their parish and their community. People you can rely on, thick or thin. And oftentimes, there are people that aren't about doing great and wondrous things that are world renowned. But they're people who, day in and day out, do the best they can. Working hard. Whether it's farming, whether it's working at IBP, whether it's gardening. I'll share with you a poem. It was one I used at my own father's funeral, called Just a Farmer. Just a farmer, you said, and I laughed, because I knew all the things that farmers must be able to do. They must study the land, then watch the sky, and figure just when is the right time and why. To sow and to plant, to buy and to sell, to go to the market with cattle and well. You know the books that farmers must keep to pay all those taxes and to be able to sleep. And you know the fixing that farmers must do when machines like mad monsters blow a gasket or two. I guess when God needed folks to care for his earth, he chose just farmers because he knew their true worth.